after me, because we decided we have to have a gender balance representing the organisation. Okay, Tracy decided we have to have a gender balance. I agreed. As I always do when Tracy talks to me, I always agree with her. Okay, I suppose as a public sector, what people forget is we have to practice what we preach. That is really so important, really. And in relation to a few points this morning, just to pick them up, about being a gay person, working in an organisation, what you bring of that into your organisation. I suppose both Tracy and I are examples of, in the public sector, that we're doing that directly. Because I'm Social Inclusion Officer, my brief really is to ensure that there's equality of access to services to people in our communities. We encourage our staff to ensure that the way they provide their services is in an equal way. Now, there are difficulties with that. We have 25% of our population who can't even read and write, with serious difficulties reading and writing. So how do you do that when you're in the age where you go to the website and find out anything? What about LGBT? Well, what about them? Should they not have civil partnership responsibility? Should they have bargaining? That's the response of a lot of people in the public sector as well as across the community generally. So I suppose I'd bang the drum about LGBT basically. That's why we're here today, because it's important that public venues are allowed, that you allow access to public venues. That's what I believe. It's about finding people's voices. It's about equality. And I'm just looking at the burning issues, for example, and it says here, one of the quotes inside is, my burning issue isn't so much gay rights as human rights. I want to belong, I want to be treated as I treat my fellow citizens, with respect. I simply want to be equal. If society is equal, then it's balanced, anything else is simply unacceptable and can never ever be justified, either by religious or political beliefs. I want to take my place amongst my fellow citizens, regardless of gender colour, and regardless of sexual orientation. And included in that, I would say, is the T. You know, LGBT? Because we're talking about exclusion, and one of the poorness I think really is, very often transgender people are very excluded. And I wonder how included are they in the LGBT? That's the question I put back to everybody here in the room. And I have a question mark for that. And so specifically what I've done is, with the last LGBT grouping I wanted in the building really was the transgender group, was TENI. They had a launch for publication. They have it here in the atrium, and there's another one coming up shortly as well. And the impact that had for them to be in a public space that's part of their city was enormous, because platforms are very important, because a platform gives people a right to air their views and say, your voice is legitimate and you would like to be heard. And I think it's very important, and Tracy and I would agree with that. As public sector officials, it is important that we include the LGBT, give them platforms, because most of the groups have no money. Neither do I. Neither does the City Council. But we have some resources, and by working together, we can facilitate that. I think that's very important. Now, I have another agenda for you here, and that is specifically got to do with this. Dublin Age Friendly City. Note the colours, by the way. No information. Dublin Age Friendly City is a project I'm bringing on board for the city, whereby we have signed up to this, the Dublin Declaration, which is the World Health Organization's declaration for age-friendly cities and communities around the globe. And Dublin has signed up to that. And my question is, where are the LGBT people in all of this? The World Health Organization, Age-Friendly Cities and Communities Global Network, it's called. This year what I'm doing is creating a process of consultation where we consult with older people, and older people, sadly, is from 55 up. Now, where the came is 55, I think I'm not close to it myself for my comfort. But it's 55 and over. And what we do is we're going to consult with people who are 55 and older throughout the city to get their views of what their needs are to live in the city. And this is just in Dublin City. I apologize for those of you who are not in the city. And what I want to do is, and the issues that are being consulted are specifically on transport, housing, interestingly, social participation, respect and social inclusion, civic participation and employment, communication and information, community support and health services, outdoor spaces and buildings, transportation. Take the outdoor spaces and buildings. How safe is it for LGBT people? How safe it is for older LGBT people? How do I capture that information in this consultation process? So that's why I'm coming back to you in the room. I want your help, basically. I want your assistance, people who work with LGBT people, a way in, particularly the older groups who are more marginalised and more excluded. I really want their assistance to have their voice heard in this process. Because it will be a strategy document that then will be implemented over a 5-year period. And what I'm saying, it's important that we get the voices of all LGBT people out there. Okay? Why have it? The quality of life is unnecessarily poor for many older people. We forget that. We have a lot in common, LGBT people and non-LGBT people, put it that way. But yet the quality of life of older people, if you're still in the closet and you're older here in the country, what hope have you got basically here? The need for long-term planning, would you agree that there's a need for long-term planning? Absolutely. Is there a need to articulate a new paradigm for approach to aging? I mean, it's not all cosmetic surgery really for I mean, I want to look 20 years younger than I am. That's from a sound of me, really. I still be the age I am, basically, really. That's it, basically, around that. So what I'm saying is, it is important, I think, as well, that we as LGBT people actually talk to people, including our friends who are straight, who are heterosexual, who have their family members there, and include them in our own discussions and debates. Because I think we ourselves can be guilty of including others as well. And that's a piece that I think is important. How can we talk to our colleagues unless we engage them in a genuine discourse about what's important for members of our community? And how can we gain their respect if we don't respect ourselves first? And that's why I throw back here, what does LGBT mean in terms of exclusion? Are we genuinely inclusive of all the groups in that? I think we're not as inclusive as we should be. Now that's my piece. I'm going to hand over to Tracy, who's going to talk about a more on-the-ground, specifically in the community aspect of this work. Thanks, Tracy.